Hello everyone, this fishing report took place on 5 August 2025. That's a Tuesday. Where I decided to go fishing was the rock Groins off of the Galveston Seawall, located right over here. And to get here, I just basically came down 45, exited 61st Street, took that all the way down until we got to Seawall Boulevard. The first location was going to be right across from the convention center, which is right there, and this is the area that I decided to fish as far as the first growing was concerned. Now, we did have thunderstorms in the forecast, so on my way over here, I could see lightning lighting up the sky right off of the water and towards the most east end of Galveston. So coming across the Causeway Bridge, we had like a really hard downpour. It's besides the point, but I guess the point that I am trying to make is because of those thunderstorms at around 6 a.m. we had gray skies until about, I want to say, 10 a.m. and I didn't get started fishing until we were around, I want to say it was closer towards 7 a.m. and so that gave me kind of like a late start. But here we go. So right over here at the first location, I stopped right around here to fish the surf zone. The water was it was pretty calm for being Galveston's surf, because normally we're going to have a lot of swells and waves crashing in the surf for as far as the eye can see. But being that we had very low winds due to the thunderstorms, it was a very slow moving storm, and as soon as the lightning was gone, I came out here and just started fishing the surf with the very calm water. I started out with a top water. It was the Hedden Spook Junior in the bone color, and I made several casts out here, probably used it for about 15 minutes, but being that I didn't see any blow-ups in this area, I walked out towards the point and fished all of this area over here and then fished this area. So I gave the lure a chance to hopefully get hit, but there was no speckled trout in the area blowing up on anything. So I had seagulls coming down and actually trying to attack the lure. So I put it away and decided to go subsurface with a Bugs, what is it called? The clickbait minnow in like a black and silver color. And I basically did the same thing with that lure and didn't get anything. So over here, all around the point, and then on this side, didn't get anything. I did see a sheep's head on the rocks, so I pulled out a bottom bouncing jig. And I'm not too sure if it was this jetty right here or the second one. But yeah, I pulled out the bitty bug from Bugs Fishing, which is like I think it looks like a fiddler crab imitation. It's got one claw hanging off of the jig, and I thought that would be appropriate for a sheep's head or any other species that will pick up crustaceans off the bottom, which like pompano. And it isn't uncommon to actually catch pompano whenever the water is very clean, because earlier on in the morning it looked really nice. You could actually see some nice clarity along the rocks. And so I did basically the same thing again with that lure and zero bites. So I put that one away, and then that's whenever I took and switched over to a Kitech paddle tail. And I used that with some great success. I started off over here, didn't get anything, turned around, started fishing this, didn't get anything. And it wasn't until I made my way over here, casting out towards this area, and I let the lure fall all the way down to the bottom, and then just started bouncing it off the bottom with the occasional twitch or double twitch. And usually whenever you would twitch it, the lure would pop up off the bottom, and then as it goes back down, because you stop twitching, that's whenever I was getting hit and started catching. I want to say like 3 or 4 dink speckled trout. We did catch a rat red, and that was pretty much it. So I quickly wrap things up over here. I was going through those very soft plastic paddle tails. They're very flimsy, and whenever the speckled trout or the redfish come up with their heads thrashing, like flopping back and forth, they kind of ripped through that very supple plastic. So I decided to leave this area and make my way over towards Guido's, which is, let's see, where is Guido's at? Bear with me. There we go. Here's Guido's right here. And so this is where I decided to stop for the second growing. And whenever I got here, I attacked it the same way that I did the first rock growing, and there was absolutely nothing over here. No bites whatsoever. Maybe a ladyfish, if I got lucky, would hit my lures. I did not switch over to the bottom bouncing jigs or the top water because we already had ambient light, and being that we were already doing really well with the soft plastic paddle tail, that's what I continued on throughout the remainder of the day. But I spent around 25-30 minutes at this rock growing, and being that we didn't get anything, I immediately left that to head over to the third spot, and that was going to be right next to Pleasure Pier, which is right here. I had noticed whenever I parked right over here that there were a lot of people on this growing right here, and I attribute it to, you see how this is paved right there? It makes it easy for like a wagon to get down there, and you have like a ramp that you can utilize and go down here. So I think there was a lot of people over here. Immediately I thought that, well, man, maybe I selected the wrong jetty style or the rock growing to fish because everybody was over here. But then as I kept staring out off into the distance over here, I could see that nobody was catching anything. So it wouldn't have mattered had I stopped right here or over here. There was only one other person, I want to say, that actually, no, there was nobody. There was a tourist, two tourists taking photos at the point as I was walking out. And then we passed each other. They went off, and then I was all on my lonesome over here. I did the same old thing with the paddle tail, and then I also started using the Zoom Fluke as well in the baby bass color. Didn't catch anything over here, no bites whatsoever, and it wasn't until I started fishing the point that I was getting hit by ladyfish. I managed to bring one in, and then I saw a couple of others come up to the surface, jump, and spit the hook, just classic ladyfish, what they do. And then another guy started walking out, and he had some live shrimp. He asked if I had any luck. I said no. Did he have any luck? And he said yeah. Or actually, he told me that he was here earlier, and this area right here, right around daybreak, like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., during the rain, he was catching one speckled trout after another. And he said the bulk of them were undersized, but that he did catch quite a few that were just shy of 20 inches, so they were keepers. And he wasn't keeping anything, but he had to leave because he ran out of shrimp. That's how fast that they were hitting. As soon as the shrimp would land, he said he could literally see them right here at the water's edge down at the bottom because the water was that clean. And he said that he had to leave to go get more shrimp. And then when he came back, he really didn't have any success. I mean, I wasn't having any success as well, except for the ladyfish. And right at around that time, I made a cast with the plastic. And as I was bouncing it off the bottom, it got closer to the rocks. I saw a flash, and off to the races. This thing was massive. I didn't know what it was. I didn't get to see it. I just saw like the whitish, silverish color flash. And this thing just started heading over here in this direction. I thought I was going to get spooled because this thing was big. The silhouette of that flash, it was massive. And then being that it peeled so many drags, if I had to get like so much drag, if I had to guess, it went for like maybe a 25 to 30 yard run. And so going out in this direction and then coming this way, I just continuously tried to fight. The setup that I was using was my 7.5 foot long medium light power spinning rod. It's a Kinetic from Old 18 Outfitters. I have that paired with a Sahara 1000 series spinning reel. It's got 31-pound Varavos braid and then a 20-pound Varavos fluorocarbon leader. The jig head that I was using was like the Z-Man Ned rig style jig. It was a 1/10 ounce. And then the two soft plastics were the Kai-Tech paddle tail and then the Zoom fluke in the baby bass color. This thing was just peeling drag on that small 1000 series. It only sports 7 pounds of drag. If I had to guess, I've got it, the drag knob set to like halfway, and I'm utilizing around 3 pounds of drag. I've always maintained, I use these in the marsh. Actually, no, at the Freeport jetty, the Surfside jetty. But I do use like a smaller 500 series in the marsh. And then I use these Saharas, the 1000 series, fishing from the bank because they're just a little bit bigger. They hold a little bit more line capacity. And so I've always maintained that 3 pounds of drag is more than enough to stop just about everything that we are going to be trying to catch from the rocks or in the marsh, like by way of a redfish, a flounder, a trout. You're going to be able to stop them. I guess our strongest swimmer is going to be the redfish. If you catch like an overslot anywhere 28 to 32 inches, you will be able to stop one of those fellas. And so I honestly thought that I was going to get spooled, being how that first drag run went, and then I started bringing him in, and then it went on another drag run, started bringing it in again, and then another drag run, and so this thing kept swimming.
There we are. Look at that. I don't know, but that is big. I mean, he was big. I'm probably going to get spooled. And I saw him flash. Yeah. Well, I hope I get to see it. Oh man, he's taking every bit of line that I gained.
And like from here going out to over here going out to over here going out, and I'm not too sure how many runs he went on, but eventually I was just like, man, my hand started cramping, my left hand that I hold a rod with. Eventually I started getting this guy to finally turn and come back in towards the rocks. And then right around this time is whenever I first got my look at it, and I mentioned something about watch it be a stingray. And sure enough, just several seconds later, it comes up to the surface. I managed to be able to winch it up to the surface, and it was a massive stingray. Either way, my heart was pumping really fast. The adrenaline was going. It just didn't end up being like a redfish. I knew it wasn't fighting like a red, just because there was no head shakes, there was no nothing. It was just straight, steady drag. And I could have swore I saw like a silver flash, but that was probably just one of the flash that I had seen was its wing turning sideways, looking up at me. And so it all happened so fast, but it was one heck of a fight. And I've got to hand it to the kinetic rod, being able to hold on to that fish. I mean, just everything, all the gear that I choose to use. You got to make sure that you're using good stuff that's not going to fail you during a fight. And this little reel, the braid, my fluoro, my braid to fluorocarbon, like connecting knot for my leader. I mean, just everything worked flawlessly, and it allowed me to be able to see what the fish was. And then eventually I walked it all the way back over to the beach so that I could remove my hook. What ended up happening was the fish got hooked towards the like the face area to the left-hand side, and so being able to control it was a little bit easy. like a little bit easier than what I would imagine if I hooked it like at the back portion of its wing or something like that. Then you have no somewhat head control. But either way, a spectacular fight. After releasing that guy, watching him over here for a good 10 to 15 minutes to make sure that he was going to swim off, which he did. He was tired. There was no way for me to land it, like muscle it in. I would have snapped my line for sure. And eventually I did snap my line over here trying to winch that fella as close to the sand as I could. And my line just finally gave out. But yeah, I removed the hook either way and watched that guy go. Came back over here, collected my stuff, and told this guy, because he was, we were talking about locations. He talked about San Luis Pass and that, you know, he's been doing fairly well over there with speckled trout and bull reds with cut mullet. I told him that I was about to head off to the east end to go fish Fort San Jacinto, and he had mentioned that he had never been there. So yeah, said our goodbyes. I went down Seawall Boulevard all the way over to Fort San Jacinto, and this is the furthest that you can go towards the east end. And being that the winds were very low, which I apologize, let's knock out the weather conditions. Temperature was 82.9 degrees. The water temp was 87.1 degrees. The winds were at 8.55 knots from the east-southeast. The tide was mid-outgoing, and it was like some slow movement. My buoy reading for those conditions are coming from the small boat cut right over here. There's the buoy right there. It's right here by the cut. And you can just see how far away that is to the actual point of where I'm fishing. I can give you a lay of the land really fast. Let's go down to Street View. Is it not gonna? There we go. So right down here, there's like a tree that somebody placed there, or it miraculously got stood up whenever like a storm, you know, came through. But usually during the high tide or high tidal levels, water is going to be right over here where all this sand is. So you got to be careful whenever you go out there. These rocks are very slippery, y'all, and there's tons of barnacles and lots of algae growing off of them. So be mindful of that. A good pair of cleats is going to get you, you know, a long way as far as trying to traverse these rocks out here. So just be mindful of it. But this channel, during low winds and the low, here, let's go back to our, there we go, reorient ourselves. So this channel, with the low winds coming out of the east-southeast, that's like in this direction that my cursor is flying. It was somewhat protected and the water was still semi-clean. You could clearly see maybe 2 foot of visibility. And this whole area over here, I would venture to say it's anywhere from 5 to about 8 foot deep. Obviously, the further out that you cast, it's going to be a little bit deeper. And this spot right here, I normally, that's where I'm going to try to go. If nobody is out here, I will walk out in the water. It's not too deep. It goes about to my thighs, and then you'll eventually be able to make it up to the rocks and then walk out here. And that's what I did. And on my first cast, y'all, I was running out of time. I only had like 30 minutes to be able to fish because I had a date with the wife at around 12 o'clock. And so I needed to leave at 11. I got out here, dropped my fish bag. I only took the one rod with me, which was that kinetic that I described earlier, using the same lure and whammo on the soft plastic. I cast out towards a diagonal, being that it was a slow outgoing tide, cast in this direction, bouncing it back. And then as soon as it starts getting closer to the rocks, a nice 18 3/4 inch trout hits. And so I mentioned that I got to be the luckiest person ever because I was able to finally catch a keeper, and it comes from over here. I absolutely love this area. So I dispatched that fella really quick, threw him inside the fish bag, and continued fishing. And then I got a couple of other like dink-sized trout that I threw back, and I ran out of the little paddle tails from Kitech, so I decided to start using the Zoom Fluke again, and managed to catch one more with like 6 minutes to spare before I had to go off. And so I ended the day with 2 keeper trout, left them biting, and what a phenomenal day it was out here on the rocks at Fort San Jacinto. So let me see, is there any safety? It's pretty much just use some cleats, be careful with your footing, watch out for discarded fishing line, and you should be okay. One of the other things that I failed to mention over here in the parking lot, let's go back. This is free parking over here, but then if you come over towards the seawall, you're going to have to make sure it's all metered parking on this side closest to the beach, but if you go to the other side, it's not metered. What I do is, I think in like every October, I purchase an annual like pass for parking over here, and you just go to their app. I think it's like pay by phone. Here, let me open my phone really quick and tell y'all what the app is. It is called, yeah, pay by phone app. And you can go in there and put your license plate and everything else, and like for your vehicle, I think it's just by the license plate. You purchase, I think it's 12 months worth or something like that. You're either going to purchase by months, which would be 12, or by weeks, which would be 52. But I believe it's by 12 months, and it's $45 is what it cost me this last time. The year before that, it was also $45. So we'll see come this October if it's still going to be $45. But it is way cheaper to do that, and all you got to do is use it maybe 3 or 4 times out of the entire year, and it pays for itself. So that's what I basically do over here. So just be mindful that this is metered parking. I only used lures on this particular day, but if you do want to use shrimp, the closest bait shop is going to be over here. It's called Aunt Margie's, and that is right here. They've got live shrimp and some live crab in there, and then there's another guy called the Croaker guy. It's right here, Island Seafood. I want to say that's it. Let's see. Yes. So they've got fresh shrimp. Back here is like where all their live bait is, and you can get live croaker, and then I think they carry shrimp as well. So those are some spots that you can stop at. If you're coming in off of 45, you have, like, my preferred bait shop is going to be Smitty's, which is over here. Right there, Smitty's Bait Shop. They give you really great bait. They take care of it. It's all indoors, and the sun doesn't get to beat down on them, versus one of the other stores that are over here where it's outside. That second one, the Croaker guy, it's covered. Their bait tanks are covered, but it's outdoors. So yeah. Anyhow, I'm going off on a tangent. So yeah, hopefully y'all are going to find this information useful on the next time that you decide to come out here. And it's luck of the draw. If you were to ask me which one of these Groins is going to do better than the other, I don't have an answer. I don't fish it enough to have an answer for y'all. I do know that I always stop right here before taking off. These right here that are paved, the rock Groins that are paved, there's I think 2 or 3 of them. Here goes another one right there, you can tell. And I believe that's it. So just 2 of them. And then that's the actual 61st Street Pier. But yeah, I don't like paying money to go on the piers unless I absolutely have to. Like night fishing on the pier, it's probably a sure thing. And yeah, so that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully you find it useful. And until next time, tight lines, everyone.